welcome back to the Kalopsia podcast. My name is Sydney and I'm your host. I would like to welcome everyone into the room today. Thank you for clicking on this week's episode. I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I am in a weird mood this week. A lot has been going on. It's been a little bit of a hectic week. But one thing stands true is that one positive thing happened this week in that I made a step forward in kind of a career path of mine, and something opened up in my brain where I was like, okay, wait, this could actually lead to something. And I thought we could walk through it together. I feel like a lot of the time, and this kind of bleeds into last week's episode on human design charts and how a lot of people are generators, this personality type, one of the 5, having to do with our, centers in our body. A lot of us end up being generators or manifesting generators or projectors, and one of the biggest traits having to do with those personality types is that we live to work, right? We live to work, we keep pushing, and we work until we are, satisfied with our rank almost. And I feel like in the past couple weeks, I've been kind of leaning towards thinking of work in a different sense. And I kind of alluded to that much last week. I was like, do I need to rethink my entire philosophy of life? And that is because in this book, The Human Design Chart, I think the author's name was Karen Allen Curry, something like that. I'll put it on the screen if I figure it out. But her strategy for my personality type was to don't initiate or stop initiating and instead respond to. And how a lot of the time clarity for my personality type is going to come through in yes or no questions. So if somebody comes to me and says, can you see yourself continuing with this position for the next 10 years? If my answer is a yes, then, I should stick with that. If my answer instinctively is a no, then maybe that's not really what I should be working towards, So I feel like having this new perspective on how much I should wait to respond rather than trying to initiate different types of things, different types of income, different streams of business, different ideas, because I feel like I almost became overwhelmed, or not almost, but I became overwhelmed with the spectrum, with the range of work that I could do, with the range of, almost like characters I could play. I could play the lab girl who stays in the lab until 6 a.m. or until 2 a.m., working hard with my microbiome, or not my microbiome, with my bacteria that I am growing, or my, flies, because I did my last bio project on flies, right? But, that I don't know why I said right. Nobody knows that. Nobody needs to know that. It was a very random project, and I'm pretty sure most of our flies died anyway. But we will go past that. Let's skip over that. I feel like, that was a personality that I could have taken upon. I don't even know what's going on with my brain right now. That was a possible path. Or I was thinking, what if I become this mega superstar stylist, and I really like fashion, but then I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to add into my rotation of work, podcast writing, digital marketing. Let me also add in fashion education. I want to become Diet Prada. I need to know all the going-ons about, Margiela, about Schiaparelli, about Dior. I need to know the history. How do we get here? I was like, oh, wow, there's a lot in the world of fashion. I need to know the history if I even want to become a stylist, right? Because I need to know what has led my, my field to where it began, or where it's ended up, so that there was that side of it. Then I was thinking, oh my goodness, what if I became an actress? And I decide to, take some improv classes when I don't know when, because I never have the time. So that one quickly got sent to the back burner. What if I become a writer for a magazine, like in the Bold Type? I absolutely loved that show. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. This is a crazy lifestyle to lead. It's almost like Devil Wears Prada, but in a cute way, right? Because Devil Wears Prada, Miranda is the devil, right? Devil wears Prada. But in the Bold type, the Miranda was kind of cool. She was tough and she was stern and she was focused and she had high expectations, but she was cool. She wanted to see you win. And so I was like, okay, Ashley, scratch everything. That's my destiny. And I feel like I've gone through all of these different types of personalities, characteristic types, storylines of what my life could be, that it's almost like you're constantly living your life through the lens of what could be without really thinking about the very present moment and what you're doing right now at this very moment. And I recently, with this new slogan to live by of like, don't initiate, wait to act. I'm almost looking at the present moment as an incubation period and not as a prison, right? And let me break that down. So when I say prison, I'm saying, okay, right now I am working towards this thing that that is going to help me prosper. So for example, if I'm saying I want to get into the fashion business, I want to become a stylist, I want to work with the best of the best. I want to work with Wolfie Cindy on Instagram. I want to work with Nailea Devora. I want to work with Anne Hathaway. Daisy, whatever. I want to work with all these people. I'm thinking that's what I want to do. The present moment, right, where I'm working, what I'm doing, I'd have to really structure my day, have that habit stack in stack, habit stack stacked, so that I have a logical path towards this new reality that I want to create for myself. And not knocking, law of attraction or knocking down, law of assumption even, I think if that's what you really want to do and that's what you want to do, do it. But sometimes it can almost feel like you're in prison. It's like, wow, I need to work towards this. So I'm working. You're seeing online, the Pinterest phrases, the Pinterest quote saying, I am too busy to be bored. I saw this once and it's really funny because there's a pre-human design chart reading Sydney perspective, and then there's a post Sydney perspective of the human design chart thing, because I had pinned this post and it said, I'm too busy to be bored. I have a business to start. I have books to read. I have a fitness schedule to maintain. I have habits to fulfill. It was things like that. I'm so busy to be bored. There's no way I can even be bored because I have so much shit to do. I'm constantly busy, and it's a privilege to be busy, and I stand by that. But it was extreme. It was I'm way too busy to be bored. And then the cover was a girl with her sunglasses on, too cool for school, type of vibe. And basically, after this whole perspective change, this mindset shift, right? What this Kalopsia pod is all about, right? It was almost like I was like, wait a minute, I'm too busy to be bored. What's happening to my very present moment if I'm constantly busy, if I'm constantly working to the next thing, constantly focusing on keeping my, workout cycle in swing, keeping my fashion knowledge up to date, keeping my, it's impossible when you really think about it. Sometimes it can feel impossible and it can feel like a prison, but then that's when you have that mindset shift that's like, okay, I'm building towards this, I'm working towards this. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to become. And when that vision is clear, go for it. Do it. Launch yourself in it. But it can be difficult to make that distinction of, do I really want this, or am I really just in love with the idea of it? Or is this just something that I want to prove to myself that I can do, that I can achieve, that I can get to? And I think that's the crux of the matter. But circling back to looking at the present moment as a prison, or as a hamster wheel, if you will, not necessarily prison, but a hamster wheel has its uses, right? But at the end of the day, you are constantly working towards that next thing, versus this new strategy that the human design chart told me to do, which is focusing on the very present moment, focusing on the reactive part of it, focusing on your intuition and how you feel about certain choices or certain positions that you find yourself in. That's where you're going to get your answers. And this is different for different types of people, of course. But I'm here to say that I think that this latter way of living might be what I'm leaning towards at the very present moment. And it's important to note when I'm saying this to you that I could be speaking from a place of almost burnout, even though I don't really think that's the case, but I could be, hindsight is 2020. The present moment can be, it's warped, right? We all know this, but the crux of the matter is that I understand now that what I need to be doing to kind of figure out what I want to do in the long term, what I want to do for the rest of my life, what I want to achieve, in order to find that, I need to slow down. I need to stand still. And I need to invest in myself in the present moment. What does that look like? Focusing on my hobbies, focusing on my painting, focusing on my crocheting, focusing on my reading, focusing on my, my fitness routine, because that's something that I think helps me have better sleep. That's going to help me feel better during the day, which is going to help me feel better about my life if I feel better throughout my day. I need to invest in myself in the very present moment, and that's going to help me kind of have a bigger picture of, am I happy with what I'm doing right now, or do I want more? Or do I think I want more, and so I'm chasing for more, but really I would have been happy with what I had to begin with? And I'll tell you something else that stuck with me. And over the past week, I've been listening to, or I've not been listening to, but I've been watching Love, Rosie, right? And I say over the past week because I feel like I don't have the time to watch TV somehow, even though, I only work 25 hours a week, so you would think that some of that factors into watching TV, and I watch YouTube. I do watch YouTube, I will say that, but watching a movie, watching a show, I find it difficult for some reason. So over the past 3 nights, I finally finished it last night. Over the past 3 nights, I've been watching Love, Rosie. And if you haven't seen that movie, the storyline basically follows a pair of kids or teenagers, they're not really kids, are obsessed with each other. They are best friends. They were best friends for forever and ever and ever and ever. And they had this whole plan. They were going to move to Boston from the UK, somewhere in the UK, I'm not sure, a small town, and how they were going to go away and go to Boston, work, and basically, the girl ends up pregnant and the guy ends up going. So he goes to Boston, he finds this new job, he gets this girlfriend, they're together, they're expecting a baby. Oh, let me not spoil too much. But long story short, honestly, cover your ears if you don't want to hear how it ends. They end up back where they started. He moves back from Boston, I'm assuming, and they end up staying in their town because she ends up opening this whole like hotel of her own, right? Because that was her dream. Anyway, I digress. They end up where they started, and he had left and gone elsewhere, created this whole new life for himself with all of this bougie, this bougie lifestyle with these bougie people, and, it was everything that they dreamed of, it was everything that they wanted, but at the end of the day, what they cared about the most was actually each other. That's what they really cared about. And yes, it's fictional. Yes, it's a romance movie. But the lesson stands true. I've been really thinking about the action of settling and how I almost never thought it would apply to me in some odd sense. Because when I thought about my future, I was always like, okay, I'm going to live a year here. I'm going to move here. I'm going to travel here. And, the very idea of settling down and buying a house somewhere and sticking to that one place genuinely frightened me. I think it's my Sagittarius moon speaking, but it genuinely frightened me. I was thinking, do I move back to New York? Because I'm from New York. I was like, should I move back to New York? I was like, maybe in my 30s, and I'm thinking 30s, specifically 31 to 39, like that's it. No more, no less, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I could move to the city for my 30s, and then I could move here for my 20s, and move here, where do I raise my kids? Then I'm thinking, oh, traveling with the kids could be fun. I have a friend who traveled a lot in her childhood. I'm like, oh, maybe that's what we do. And then I feel like, my frontal lobe is still brewing, right? That's important to know also when we're listening to this. So I am 22, right? At the end of the day, yes, I'm wise, but I could be wiser, and I will get wiser, thankfully, because this frontal lobe, she's still kicking. She's still cooking. But I feel like recently I've been looking around. I'm currently based in Boston, and I'm looking around at Boston, and I'm like, wait a minute, she's kind of cute. She's kind of cute. She's kind of calm. I've lived in 3 different neighborhoods in this city and have worked in the other neighborhoods in which I have not lived, and have explored the other neighborhoods in which I have not worked or lived. And she's cute. She really is. And I'm thinking to myself, what if I really did settle here? But then I'm also like, I'm only 22, and how is this possible? How's like, oh, like, do I really stay here? Like, do I like, and I'm thinking to myself, how do people decide like whether to stay or to leave? And I think this is actually a genuine question, because I feel like the action of settling down, the action of buying a house, the action of like setting your roots somewhere is foreign to me. It's foreign to my generation. They say that our generation, I think, if you're in my generation, they say that our generation is like buying the least homes, has the least assets, because we're literally not investing in anything concrete. And I mean, given the current state, the political state of the world, as well as the environmental state of the world, as well as the economical state of the world, like we're like the most stressed generation as well. Like our stress levels are reaching their peak like 20 years prior to previous generations. It's really like the concept of settling down and of choosing a place to stick with is literally foreign to us. And if you scroll on TikTok, or you go online, or you speak to your favorite, celebrity, or, your favorite YouTuber, your favorite creator, I mean, this might apply to only me, but I feel like everybody is constantly moving about. We've got one creator from Belfast moved to London. We've got a creator from also Dublin or Belfast or something like that, moved to Paris. Then you've got your British folks living in Australia. You've got your Americans living in Spain, living in LA. If you're from middle country and then you like are going to LA, going to a big city, everybody's going to the big cities. I don't know. Are we in the Industrial Revolution part 2? Like, what's going on? Why is nobody staying where they're from? And I mean, I apply myself in this obviously because I'm from New York and I obviously don't live there. But I mean, now I'm rambling, honestly. But all of this to say that I think the action of settling down, or the action of patience and of stillness, the action of stillness is powerful in the discovery of our wants and our needs and our desires. Because I feel like when you are constantly searching, moving, it's like you don't have a clear bird's eye view. A bird's eye view is only, I mean, I guess a bird's eye view is possible when they're in flight, so that's not a great example. But I mean, if you are a human being, right, and you are in the sky or at an altitude, you can't remain in flight and have a perfect picture of where you're standing unless you stand still and find a spot on a rooftop somewhere and look down and say, oh, I'm at the quarter of 48th and 2nd, and, that's where I am. It's like, not as simple to know what you want when you're constantly ingesting information. And I feel like we've gone through this, we've explained this before, but I think we need to remind ourselves of that. You might think that you want to become a UGC creator. You might think that you want to become a streamer. You might think that you want to become an astronaut. When maybe what you actually really want to do is be a librarian, because you get to read all day and chat with people and you find that fun. Or maybe what you really want to do is be a barista for years. Maybe just open your own little coffee shop and that's your career. You don't have to be chasing the idealized career paths that are taught, like shoved upon you. The bottom line is that we need to look at the present moment as our world, because it actually is. And not only is that going to induce more spontaneity, it's going to induce more of an understanding for the preciousness of life. Because when you really deep how precious your life is, how precious it is that you have all 5 of your senses right now, most likely, how precious it is that you currently can see, you currently can walk on your 2 feet, you haven't been hit by a car, or you haven't developed a neurodegenerative disease that makes you incapable of speaking the English language. I mean, these are unlikely situations, yes, but they're possible. Like, it's like, when you look at the present moment as such a gift that you really want to enjoy, every interaction that you're a part of is that much more important. Every, shred of laughter that you are a part of is that much more enjoyable. Every, word that you read in a book is like that much more impactful. When you really think of like, okay, this is what I'm experiencing right now. This is my world. It's not that, oh, I'm going to get something even better next time. I'm going to read an even better book. I'm going to watch another better movie. I'm going to make an even better friend. I'm going to, it's that better or later part of it is what we're taking the present moment for granted. So invest in your present moment, invest in yourself. Think to yourself, okay, this is what really led me here today, right? I was talking to my supervisor who came to my job today, and as you guys may know, I'm a behavior technician, and she was like, have you really considered, taking this to the next level? Have you considered, really going back to school for this? You would need a graduate's degree, but have you considered that? Because you're really good at this. Like and I'm not tooting my own horn here, right? I'm saying genuinely what she said to me. She was like, this is really something that you could pursue. And I'm thinking to myself, ooh, like I have that resistance in myself. I'm like, oh, but what if I wanted to become a UGC creator? Oh, but what if I wanted to constantly be traveling and become a travel agent instead? Like, these were my thoughts. I was like, these were my thoughts the first time she asked. She asked me again today. I don't know if she remembered asking me the first time, but this time around, I was like, you know what? Maybe. You know what? When I think concretely of what I'm doing right now in this very present moment, I've got a smile on my face, the sun is shining, I'm with this kid. I'm like, we're having a fantastic time, I'm having a fantastic day. I'm having a beautiful work day. Couldn't think of doing anything else. I'm like, this is stunning. The qualms I have with my current, position would be eradicated should I take it to the next level? It's literally like the most logical step, and it's crazy to think that I was not even gonna try to do that, because I'm constantly thinking, oh, but I could be doing this instead, but I could be doing that instead, but I could be doing this. And I was having a discussion with my friend Juliana, and she was telling me, your life isn't defined by your job. Even if I take this position doesn't mean that I'm incapable of becoming a writer. Just because I take this thing doesn't mean I'm incapable of, also traveling often and, becoming a singer-songwriter. Like, it's like your dreams don't die when you choose a career path or when you settle down somewhere. Your dreams don't die. It's your investment in yourself that needs to be a constant. It's that investment in yourself and your dreams and your passion that needs to be the constant. I'm just looking at the present moment as a whole new gem as of late. But invest in yourself. Invest in your present moment. And think to yourself, okay, am I enjoying this right now? Do I feel fulfilled right now? If not, maybe make a change. If yes, maybe stick with it. We don't need to be constantly looking to the next thing or looking to the better thing. Sometimes what we have is actually a privilege. Anyway, those are my thoughts of the week. I was not even sure what I was going to come on here and talk about, because I feel like I can't even sort through my thoughts. But one thing stands true is that when I'm sat on this mic and speaking to the 5 of you that listen, I feel like myself. And I feel like it's almost like a therapeutic session for me. And honestly, I have like qualms about my perspective of it in that way. I think of myself and I'm like, oh, like maybe you shouldn't use your podcast as also therapy. But, my favorite podcast to listen to use their podcasts as therapy. So literally that would be hypocritical of me. I'm like, and so I should tell you about all of my familial trauma and all of my issues and all of my problems. I should be telling you every single detail, and I shouldn't even be missing a single beat, right? I should come on here twice a week, actually, maybe 3 times, so that you guys get the before, during, and after of like every issue that arises, right? That's what we'll do. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, even this podcast just shows this is a passion project. 5 of you listen every week. A lot of you are on TikTok. Unfortunately, I'm not really seeing that conversion from the TikTok watchers to the actual podcast, but that's fine. I still see you guys. I still appreciate it. I've been listening to I'm sorry. I was gonna cut it off, but I mean, since we got into the whole like personal part of it, I mean, I already like spoke my speech, or whatever the expression is. I've been listening to the Owen Theo podcast. It's called In Your Dreams. And you guys, if you want to laugh, like, please just go and listen. It's hilarious. I don't even know how to explain. He's like this kid. He's not a kid. I keep calling everybody a kid. I'm younger than everyone I'm talking about. Always. I'm always the youngest. He is this man, this gay man, lovely black gay man, if you wanted to typecast him, very tall, 6'4", and he is hilarious, like, literally, personality is is what I would say. I feel like what I really liked about his podcast is how open he is about his want for fame and his craving to be known and recognized, and I feel like the honesty of it is so beautiful. Honestly. And some people might say, like, wow, he's so shallow, or like, wow, like, does he care about nothing else? And like, maybe not, right? But at least he's honest about it, and I love that about him. I really, really, really do. And I'm sure he cares about other stuff, and he's got beautiful friendships with Jared and Emma Chamberlain, because I mean, I've been dabbling in Emma Chamberlain content again, but really Owen brought me back because I see a little bit of Emma in him, because apparently they're the same person. But I think he's got some great stories because he was born and raised in Los Angeles. So think about the people he knows. He knows so many people, and he has so many like cool guests. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, basically, I found his honesty about his craving for fame so hilarious, so real, and so relatable. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I say all this about like not constantly wanting to crave the next thing, but if you guys want me to come on here and tell you my honest truth is that, you know, I know I'm going to be famous one day. I know that. So I might as well enjoy and really soak in my Gilmore Girl lifestyle as a small town girly in the tiny, quaint, tiny little village town that is Boston. That's my truth, right? I'm thinking this is my quaint, tiny little before my little, oh, I was working, you know, I went to work. Yeah, back in the day, I really did work, you know, and at the same time, I'm happy to do this for another 60 years. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, you know, I was meant to be famous. Like, let's call a duck a duck. But in that way, I relate to Owen. But with that, I'm going to leave you guys. Love you and leave you. But if you guys want to reach out, please do. Or if you want to grab some of the people who only watch the TikToks and not the actual episodes, if you want to go to my TikTok, comment, you guys go check out the episodes. They're actually really good. If you think so, of course. But yeah, the handle is at Kalopsia Pod, KALOPSIAPOD on Instagram and TikTok, and then at Sydneydjotita, SYDNEYDJOTITA on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Then all of those are there for you at your disposal if you want to gather the masses to the pod. You know, realistically, this is a community that I want to be building. I'm not really in this for the money. You know, I want the community. I want the shared, you know, perspective, you know, and I feel like we're so divided as a generation that this could be a little piece to the puzzle, a little bridge. But now I'm getting philosophical again. And with that, I truly do leave you. Don't forget to reach out. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a review. I saw there were 3 extra reviews last time I checked, so thank you so much for the people who did that. Please tell your friends to just click on the podcast and leave a review. I actually think it will help. But anyway, with that, for the 5th time, I will love you and leave you. Thank you so much for listening to the episode this week, and I will see you next week. Bye.